How do you do this? Shoot.
When I began teaching, my main goal was always to make a difference. That was always that's why I went into teaching.
I began teaching partly because I was a philosophy major, and as a philosophy major you don't kind of have anything that you're supposed to do, and partly because you come out of a philosophy major wanting to do something better for the planet, and so I wanted to see if I could have life in school be better for kids than it was for me when I was in school, both in terms of better treatment and more interesting curriculum.
My responsibility as a teacher, no matter how many years I've been teaching, is to never stop learning. It's to never stop learning. And the day that I decide that I've learned enough is the day that I hope somebody says it's time to retire.
And you go with this passion of, again, wanting to make a difference and bringing to the table your strengths and what you see as making a difference. And when things change, it really affects you.
No Child Left Behind was signed into law with very little input from educators. We undertook this project to better understand how the standards and accountability movement in education affected teachers and administrators in small, rural schools. During the course of this project, we interviewed 14 educators from 3 elementary schools in Western Massachusetts that have consistently met state expectations for students' performance. No Child Left Behind has affected the educators' jobs in a variety of ways, from curriculum to community relations. One of the stated goals of NCLB is to give parents more control over their child's education. Yet even before NCLB, these educators felt both supported by and accountable to parents in the community.
You can't ask for more support than we get from parents here. 2 of our programs are threatened with being cut because of budget cuts, and the parents came to the school committee meetings and just said, you can't cut these programs. These are too good. These are too important to our kids. They've all signed in, and then they started brainstorming. They said, well, which one of you on the school committee writes grants? And they all looked at each other because none of them do, and so they were kind of put on the spot. And so they turned among themselves, well, which one of us knows how to write grants? And then hands went up, and they got together and they said, okay, we're going to write a grant. Don't cut this program. We're going to put the money together. And that's what they do.
I mean, the positive side of that is I feel like our kids are here and they're ready to learn, and for the most part they're very available for learning and they're excited to be learning. And that's not always the case and that's not the case for all of the kids. I mean, if you're in a very stressful situation at home, there's other things that are getting in the way of your learning, but for the most part our kids are like, here we are, what are we doing today? So that's an aspect of being in a fairly safe, fairly supportive and well-to-do community.
Well, Leverett's a small rural town, but we border on Amherst. So actually what Leverett is a bedroom community for Amherst with sort of a rural twist. If you want to live out in the woods and in nature and away from the hustle and bustle of town, people choose Leverett. It's a well-educated community.
For the parents who kind of have a vision of what they think we should look like and sound like, and see this change towards state-mandated frameworks as a threat to what their notion of this culture is like.
You would have to be an experienced teacher to get into that school. You would have to be extremely at the top of your game to get a job at Shutesbury. It was an extremely unique school and with extremely experienced teachers, and I feel really proud that I was able to get in there and work with the teachers that I have. I think they are extraordinary, and yet because our administration took the letter of the law with the testing and with the mandates and with the curriculum that wasn't necessarily needed for our particular community, it has changed the flavor of the culture too.